This week, we interview James Brown from Black Label Trading Company. In the Debonair Ideal, we'll talk about cigar destinations. And in the Stogies of the Week, we'll do an unbanded and talk about at least one Fight Chuck Norris cigar. All that and more, so stay tuned. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geeks Show. Every new blend borrows from the past, and the Saga Blend No. 7, it is the perfect combination of timeless knowledge of traditional tobaccos and the newer balance that today's cigar enthusiasts come to expect and love in a fine cigar. Leveraging 6 generations of experience and tradition of the Reyes family, the Saga Blend No. 7 delivers a unique, full-flavored, medium-bodied cigar. The cigar is highlighted by a Brazilian wrapper over a blend of Central American and Dominican tobacco. Available in 3 sizes at an affordable price, the Saga Blend No. 7 is sure to please and bring together past and present. From the makers of the #1 cigar in the U.S. in 2013, the Aging Room Quattro F55 comes yet another highly rated cigar, the Aging Room Bin No. 1. The Aging Room Bin No. 1 is a full-bodied Dominican cigar with some of the world's oldest tobacco on the market today, from the harvest of 1997, 98, and 99. The Aging Room Bin No. 1 starts out smooth and builds up in strength and flavor until it reaches its full potential. The Aging Room Bin No. 1 is for the true cigar connoisseur looking for a sophisticated smoking experience with balance, complexity, and character. Aging Room Cigars. Blending is in our DNA. Brought to you by Rocky Patel Premium Cigars. The era of elegance continues as they celebrate 20 years of creating iconic cigars, delivering nothing short of magnificent. The Rocky Patel 20th Anniversary Cigar line follows the lineage of the Rocky Patel Decade and 15th Anniversary. 4 years in the making, it's a masterfully crafted cigar. The blend combines fillers from Esteli and Jalapa, Nicaragua, as well as Yamastran, Honduras. Encompassed in an elegant Honduran wrapper, this box-pressed beauty is soon to be legendary. The Rocky Patel 20th Anniversary, the era of elegance continues. For more information, visit them on the web at rockypatel.com and be sure to follow Rocky Patel Premium Cigars on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo. Welcome, everyone, to the Stogie Geeks Show. I'm your host, Paul Asadorian, joined here in studio by Mr. StogieSanta. Welcome, StogieSanta.
Good evening, everybody.
Yes, very nice to have you here. On the lines via Skype, we've got Mr. Will Cooper. Welcome, Will.
Greetings, everybody.
What's going on, my friend?
I tell you what, getting to the end of football season. A little bit of colder weather coming down here.
And even though you're not in in Carolina, you're not a Carolina fan of the football team.
I'm a Giants fan, and it's in your blood. You don't switch allegiances unless it's the Sixers, which may be a case. But but no, yeah, we But so I'm called a Panthers hater down here because I basically haven't jumped over to their side.
Yeah, I'm sure the people that you commiserate with are huge Panthers fans.
Yeah, but we do have an interesting dynamic happening, Paul, because if the Patriots win and the Panthers win, it sets up a very interesting kind of Stogie Geeks.
That's right.
We can't say – we have to say big game, by the way. We can't say that word.
That's right. That's right.
You have to say big game. But and believe it or not, there's licensing. So there's a big NFL championship game which could have the 2 home cities. So you need to stay tuned to see what's going to happen over the next week or 2 with that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's a tease. That's a teaser. Okay.
It's a tease.
I said I wouldn't tease people. It's a teaser. Yeah.
Just remember the GOAT. That's all I'm saying. The previous show, that joke was lost. No one got it.
Don't remember the GOAT. That's my favorite with this, Steve. It's true. Yeah. So true.
So this week we welcome back James Brown from Black Label Trading Company. And Will, I don't know if you want to kick things off with James.
Yeah, so actually, James. We know James from Black Label Trading Company. Now he's got a lot more going on. So there's been a lot of changes with what James has been doing, and we'll get into that. So James, welcome back to the Stogie Geek Show.
Thanks. It's good to be here. Appreciate you guys having me again.
Yeah, so I'll kind of kick it off right away. I think it was right after you were on the show last time. You made a very big announcement. It was a bold announcement in that you moved into your very own factory.
Yep. Yeah. Right about that time. Yeah. So we're going on our first year, which will be in February.
So tell us about that factory now.
Well, we made the decision last year that we wanted to kind of go out on our own to be able to do the stuff that we wanted to do. So I decided to move to Stogie full time, and we found a location and went to work. So we've been open for a year now, and we're doing all the Black Label production. We're doing the Blackwork studios as well, and then we're also doing a lot of private label productions also.
So the name of that factory is I think I'm gonna get the name right. Fabrica Oveja Negra.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that means black sheep.
Yes.
So
how'd
you guys come up with that name?
It's just kind of the way we feel sometimes, I guess. We kind of always focus on doing things different, and in a lot of ways we end up, feeling like the black sheep for that. So we just felt like it was a good name for the factory.
So you moved into your own factory. I guess the big question a lot of cigar enthusiasts would have is how do you keep things consistent and the same making a move like that?
Well, I think the reality is we didn't keep things the same. We improved on a lot of things, and I think that's one thing that you'll notice by the productions for Black Label coming out of the new factory is we're working with 100% grade A tobacco. We're taking our time, and we're doing things the right way, the way that we wanted to from the beginning, but just didn't have that opportunity to control every aspect of it. So I think for the most part, that's what you'll find is that we've changed things up quite a bit.
When you say change, is it more of how you're producing the cigars, or would you say the end products are different, or was the goal to kind of keep them as close as possible?
Yeah, we kept the blends as close as possible. We did tweak a few things that we wanted to anyway. But yeah, it's kind of every aspect of it, from the tobacco that we buy to the, how many cigars we roll a day. We keep things very minimal. Our pairs only roll about 200 cigars a day. So it's just really kind of, reinforcing that artisanal quality that we like so much. It's just slow down, do things properly and take our time.
In terms of now, you went and opened a factory. What's your role in the blending process? Are you doing all the blending? Have you brought someone in to kind of be your consigliere, so to speak, to blend? How is that working?
I originated the Black Label blends, but I always had a guy, Armando Leyva, who kind of taught me everything that I know about tobacco. And I spent about 3 years working with him, learning everything I could about tobacco and blending cigars. So I blend the cigars, and then Leyva, who we have as our production manager now, is the guy that kind of, sometimes reels me in and tells me it's not going to work, or, helps me out when things aren't going right. So we kind of work together, and he's in charge of all of our production as well.
James, this is Paul. I don't know if we talked about this cigar last time. I don't believe that we did. I certainly hadn't smoked it the last time that you were on the show. But I was actually in a local shop here called Churchill's, which I'm sure we'll talk a little more about. But I picked up one of the Deliverance Nocturne. Did I say that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a really good cigar. Why don't you tell us about that cigar?
Yeah, Nocturne, kind of the way we work it with Deliverance is it's kind of a line within our line of BLTCs, and it's always going to be something new and different. And so this time around, we just really wanted to go out of the box. And, I've been playing with Pennsylvania tobacco for a little while, and I've always loved it as a wrapper and just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with it. And ended up coming up with the blend for Nocturne, where we used it not only as a wrapper, but also as one of the ligeros in the cigar. And, we just decided to do this kind of funky, weird shape with it and started playing around with some molds and, came up with the long and the short Solomons. And, once we did that, then we, decided to cut the ends off them to give them the snub nose. And, we just really wanted it to be something really unique to kind of show, what we could do here at the factory and make it very different.
Yeah, the Pennsylvania broadleaf would explain why it was a very strong cigar.
Oh, yeah.
But very, very good, very well balanced as well. And you really made it work in that size. So
Thank you.
Did you try other sizes, or was that kind of one that you gravitated to?
No, we did. It started out as just we were going to do it actually in a Corona and in a kind of a 6x48 Toro is what we started playing with it in. And then it just kind of gradually, evolved into that. So then we played around with doing it in a Perfecto. And from there, we decided, we had some custom molds made and played with those for, a few ideas and went with it from there.
Nice.
Yeah, but I think overall it's a unique cigar. I think that not only the shape, but the flavor profiles, I think really stand out as something different that's out there.
And you're doing that in addition, you still have your base Deliverance line, correct?
Like I said, it's kind of a variation. The first Deliverance we did in 2014, we have not recreated that cigar yet. We decided to go this round with the Nocturne. Now, whether we'll go back to that original Deliverance and release it again, I don't know. But you will see something under the Deliverance line coming out in 2016.
Yep, and the last one you did, if I'm not mistaken, you were using San Andreas, but in a natural wrapper, which you don't see as often.
Oh.
Yeah, we actually decided to go with that. We bought a lot of, San Andreas wrapper, and anytime you buy wrapper, you're going to get a lot of color variants in it. And this particular pack that we had just had this beautiful Claro wrapper in it, and we started playing around with it and just really loved how it smoked, so decided to go with it.
In which line is that in, James?
That was the original Deliverance line that we launched in 2014.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Now, some of the samples that you sent us are in the small little petite Corona. Is that the Rorschach?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about that project?
Yeah, Rorschach, I just kind of backstep a little bit. So Blackworks as a whole, with Black Label Trading Company, we've kind of been in the market for a while, and, everybody has the cigars that they like, and, the blends stay the same. So we were kind of really, I particularly was kind of crawling at the walls to do something different. So we decided to launch Blackworks as kind of like a showcase for the factory to just always keep putting something interesting and new and different out there. And so, we did the 3 lines, the Rorschach's one of them. And it actually started as kind of our factory house cigar. So, we didn't really have anything to do with all of our off-cut tobacco. So we ended up, rolling it up into these small sizes and smoking it. And so for the last, 8 months or so, that was just kind of what we all smoked around the factory every day. And then, we just really enjoyed the end result of it. So decided to put it out there.
What is Rorschach? What does that mean?
So it's basically the ink blot test, that you do at the psychiatrist or whatever, wherever you end up that you need to take one of those.
And it's the dude in the Watchmen, right?
Yeah, and the guy in the Watchmen,
yeah.
And so that was kind of the thing with the cigar, is because it's not a specific blend. Every one that you smoke is going to be a little bit different. So it's kind of up for interpretation to the person of what they're getting out of it, each Rorschach that they smoke, which is why we decided to name it that.
So you talked about Blackworks Studio, and you went for a very, very different, I'd say, banding or marketing on that, where, Black Label had that more that gothic look, the skull and bones. This one, when I saw you and you put the logo, Paul and I who work in technology, the first thing I thought was a little more like technology. This is more much more of a modern tech look. Was that what you kind of aiming for with this particular line?
Yeah, a little bit. We wanted it to feel modern. We wanted it to kind of, feel a little bit grungy, but then also a little bit refined as well. So yeah, it was definitely intentional to be totally different than the Black Label stuff. But
And then I'm smoking right now the NBK box press. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, the MBK is a cigar I've been playing with for a long time. So I think it's probably going on a year and a half now, maybe almost 2 years since we first started playing with that blend. And, it's just, we were looking for something that was just a completely different profile than any of the stuff we were doing with Black Label. So this is a cigar we played with, and we've tried it in several wrappers and several sizes. And I guess about a year ago, we settled on the 6x46 box press, and have been smoking it in that for quite a while. And, me personally, it's kind of my go-to everyday stick now. I mean, I'm really, really happy with the results of that cigar.
And similar to what you're doing with Black Label Trading Company, these are gonna be small batch releases, right? So it's gonna kind of stick with the same philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call them a limited release, but pretty much everything that we do, especially in the Blackworks production, is crafted in 100-box batches. So anytime we go to make cigars, we make them in 100-box batches. And then once we go through those, we start over again. So yeah, very small production size for each one of the lines. But you will see it consistently throughout the year.
And very reasonable prices on these. All the three lines. The third one we'll talk about, Killer Bee. They're all under $9, so they're all like reasonably priced there.
Yeah. Once again, we wanted to kind of be a little bit different than Black Label in that regard, also.
So what's the size on the Rorschach?
So it's a 5x38. So
Okay.
It's a petite Panatella.
And do you sell those in like 5-packs?
We sell them to retailers in a 50-count box.
Okay, I gotcha. No, it's a great little winter smoke.
Yeah, it's quick, it's easy. Yeah, and the price point, I mean, it's killer price point. So
yeah, what was the retail on the Rorschach per stick?
MSRP is $4.30.
Nice. No, that's a good little smoke. And I like how like each one is a little different, because I smoked 2 of them. And the second, it was definitely some differences there, So that's really cool. So now, what's the blend on the NBK?
So the NBK is all Nicaraguan filler. It's a Nicaraguan Habano binder and an Ecuador Habano Oscuro.
Nice.
So yeah, and it's one of those cigars that I like because it's big, it's bold, but it's really refined, and it has a lot of delicate nuances going on in there. A little bit of spice that's kind of always hovering around.
Yep.
Is that what you're smoking tonight, Will?
I'm smoking the MBK.
Nice. And what do you think of it so far? I think it's a good. Well, I'll give you my assessment first. I think it's a good balance of strength and flavor. Now, I like that about your blends, Jim. You're not afraid to put a lot of strength in the cigar, but I think it's well balanced out with flavor.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, overall, kind of what we try to go for is a more, I don't know, for lack of a better word, kind of a gritty style to our cigars. Like, I like the taste of tobacco, and I like that to really come through in our blends.
That's kind of that's a good assessment in terms of you definitely get that what I call Nicaraguan, the gritty Nicaraguan type of cigar.
Absolutely.
There's a nice level of spice in this cigar too, but it doesn't ever overpower it as you're smoking it. And this is one of those cigars I just think too, over time it's even going to get better. So I mean, I just see the aging potential on this thing right now.
Yeah, and both the MBK and the Killer Bee, we decided to go with the closed foot on there. Number one, because I love that right off the bat, lighting the cigar, it gives you that nice blast of flavor, big hit of spice off the wrapper initially. And then also that we found when aging the cigars, you get a big difference in the end product by closing the foot on there and just letting the tobacco age and dry a little bit slower than when the foot's open. So we decided to go with that on both of those sticks.
And what's the wrapper on the Killer Bee that's like intermixed on the head?
Yeah, so it's an Ecuadorian Maduro wrapper, and then the lines that you see on the head are an Ecuador Habano Claro.
Really cool. Was there a reason that you did that, like little, was that just for visual effects? I mean, because you're not going to smoke down to that point in the cigar, right?
Right. Yeah. No, it's all visual. And, we were actually just playing around one day. We had a client of ours that was wanting to do some real specific stuff with a cigar with certain lines. And, I had one of our rollers just play around with this idea. So it's not really that we add a line all the way around. It's when we do the cap, we actually double and layer over the tobacco to give almost like a barber pole effect for the cap area. So we just played around with it, and then with the end result, that's kind of where the name came from. Once we had the cigar.
Excellent.
I haven't smoked the Killer Bee. How would you describe that profile?
I think in a lot of ways it has similarities to the MBK, but it's going to be a little bit softer. So you're not going to have that spice element. It's going to be more kind of some bitter notes like cocoa, chocolate, a little more of those coffee tones that it has. Whereas, for me, the MBK is a little bit malty, has some cedar and things going on in it. The Killer Bee is just going to be a little bit richer and creamier without that spice note to it.
And
strength.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, strength-wise, they're probably on par in terms of strength of the cigar.
And it comes in one size, a Petite Corona, correct?
Yeah, 4.5 by 46.
And
So that's the thing also with the Blackwork stuff is we decided that we're going to keep things really simple. We're looking at just one vitola per cigar, and we're keeping it in smaller vitolas. Basically things that we enjoy smoking, and kind of just more geared towards the aficionado crowd, I guess you put it.
Stogie Geeks.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, because sometimes even I struggle with the Petite Coronas. There's not as much surface area to burn. Like, you got to really pay attention when you smoke them. That they can tend to go out. The flavors are really concentrated. I find I have to almost pay more attention when I'm smoking a Petite Corona because that flavor is so concentrated. It can be tough to pick on some of those nuances and stuff. So
I just listened to James. And he's right on where each different line he does, it changes up very much so from vitola to vitola. And I think it's an excellent vision that you have, or mission statement that you do, because it really is each and every one, from listening to what James was saying, brings something unique and different.
Yeah.
And I think that really that grabs a consumer, because you don't want to smoke the same
thing all the time.
So you go from MBK to a Killer Bee to his regular line. I think that's really, really a great way to look at it.
Yeah, and it's blended to the size,
Yeah,
which I think
exactly.
is right. You're not trying to pigeonhole it into something else. So I think that's really good as well.
Yeah, we kind of find, in our opinion, the best vitola that works for the particular blend, and then that's what we go with,
And we go back to what we say: size matters.
Yep.
Seriously, it sounds like an old cliche, but it's never tiresome.
And it's interesting though. This NBK, I think a lot of people now are kind of blending to that, medium-bodied, full flavor cigar with some nuances. But it's kind of refreshing to go back and smoke something that's gritty, that has that Nicaraguan flavor, that like really lets you know you're smoking a cigar. But I love making room for that in my rotation, right? Because I think as sometimes you want that medium body, maybe you want a little floral in there. This is like not that cigar, and it's great to have that mix up, in your rotation.
But what I like about cigars that have a fuller body, I also want that flavor that goes with it.
Yes.
Not just a knockout strength cigar for me personally.
Right.
But when you put those two nuances together, flavor, like what James was saying, flavor with a strength, that's a win-win.
Yep. Absolutely.
And it comes to mind to that is like a Neanderthal.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's what a lot of his blends are reminding me of, is that, it's balanced, but has the strength, but still has the flavor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we as cigar makers, that people that do make a heavier, stronger, fuller-bodied cigar, that's the tough part, is finding the balance between flavor and strength. Because obviously, stronger tobaccos are going to have bigger, bolder flavor profiles, but you really got to work hard to balance it out.
Now, James, do you have a favorite vitola, not just so much in whatever line, but is there one vitola that sticks out to you that you like the most in your line, size-wise?
Yeah, I'm kind of a 5.5 by 46. 46 ring gauge is my go-to ring gauge. 48, I don't mind, but it's rare that I smoke a lot of cigars, over 50, 52.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think a
absolutely.
lot of Stogie geeks fall in that.
It is
Yeah.
because you get so much out of that, you know.
Yeah.
But also it makes it difficult for the blender to, you're in a smaller Vitola, so you're more restricted on what you can use also. So it's really pushing.
I do. It's a great point. I find myself being a lot more selective in the smaller ring gauges, and I think because
absolutely.
it's so hard to do all those things you want to do in that smaller ring gauge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for me, I'm obsessed with wrappers. So for me, it's all about enhancing and highlighting the flavor profile of the wrapper. So, in smaller ring gauges, that's really what you get out of it, is you get a lot of, defined characteristics that come from the wrapper leaf, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Will, more questions for James?
Yeah. So James, you announced another cigar yesterday called the JW Marshall. Why don't you tell us about that one?
Yeah, so we're doing the JW Marshall, which we're doing for Cigar Federation. Really fun project. It's a great cigar. I'm totally excited about it, and it's one of those big, bold sticks. So even for me, it's a big stick, which I really like. It's got a really intense flavor profile to it. We did 3 Ligeros in the blend. And it's one of those kind of exactly what we were talking about where, it fires on all cylinders, but it's also a very refined cigar where you do get a lot of subtle nuances and delicate flavors in there as well. So, yeah, we did a small production for those guys, and I'm excited to get it out there in the market.
James,
Yeah,
excuse me. Go ahead, Coop.
The name intrigued me when I saw the name because I'm a big railroad buff and Gold Rush guy and all that, and so John W. Marshall's the guy who basically is credited, I guess, for starting the Gold Rush. How did that come about?
Exactly.
How did that name come about?
That was all Logan. So Logan was, interested in doing this cigar, and we talked to him about it, and the date kind of went along with some personal things in his life. I think it was his mother's birthday as well, and so he pulled out this idea for JW Marshall, and we ran with it. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Mark, go ahead. I interrupted
No.
you.
James, now here you are, a smaller factory. The logistics and the nightmares you must have when you have such different, so many different Vitolas in such a small factory, trying to get them in production. That's got to be something that's a difficult task for you to manage, you and your team.
It is, yeah. I mean, everything with a small factory is difficult. From buying tobacco to having enough space for aging, all those things. So it's always tough, but we manage it. But yeah, we our big thing and the great thing with the people that we've worked with so far is we don't rush it. If it takes this long to roll the cigar, that's what it takes. If the cigar is ready in 90 days, great. If not, we're not going to send it. So it's been good to work with the people that we have because they understand what we're about and what we're trying to do. And at the end of the day, they get the product that they want and the product that we're happy to put out. So we definitely do our best to overcome all the little stuff.
Will, more questions for James?
So what does 2016 look like ahead for you? Do you have more projects? Is there what can we expect this year?
We do. We got some big stuff in the works, in the U.S. side and also down here. So it's going to be a busy year for us. So I mean, just kind of on the surface, we're looking to do another limited release for Black Label coming out probably mid to late April. Then we start work on Morphine and then another round of Deliverance for Black Label. And we're going to be launching another stick for Blackworks as well. We haven't really decided the time frame. It may be early summer or we may end up doing it at IPCPR. And then we have a limited release coming out for the Killer Bee as well. So.
Oh, James, I wanted to ask you, are you doing something with the local Rhode Island shop here at Churchill's?
Yeah, so that's another cigar we put out. Brian LeBeau came to us and wanted to do a project. So we developed the La Prave brand with him, which he's just received and has in his shop now. So and it's doing very well.
Nice. I'm going to go visit him. I like Brian. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And it's a good cigar. I really like it. I like how it turned out. It's really good.
Awesome.
And then you just released another Catacomb release for Underground, correct? That's the one you've done for them.
Yeah, we did, and that came out early December. So yeah, we were back in Texas at the UG, did a big launch party with that, and it's going really well.
Excellent, excellent.
And now, so James, are you living in Esteli?
Yeah, live here full time. Yeah.
Wow. And so when you got the new factory, that's when you decided to move out there?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
What has that transition been like?
You know, everybody asks that, but the funny thing is like, it's not like I was coming from the U.S., so I was coming from Guatemala, so it really wasn't that different for us. I mean, you know, if I was coming from the U.S., it would be, you know, totally nuts. But coming from Guatemala, it's not too big of a change.
Right.
But, you know, I've spent so much time in SLE anyway, it just made sense for us to be here full time.
Oh, that's really cool.
And you and your wife, you were on a travel company beforehand. Was that it? So you guys have traveled a lot.
Yeah. So we owned an adventure travel company that went all through Central America, which is kind of how we ended up in Nicaragua playing with cigars in the first place.
Interesting.
Adventure travel. What's the adventure part of it?
Yeah, so we owned a company called No Limit Expeditions, and what we did was we had a fleet of Land Rover Defenders, you know, fully kitted out, and we specialized in going into the rainforests in northern Guatemala called the Petén, and then also the rainforest in Belize. And so we would take people on these trips and basically get to a lot of Mayan ruin sites and things like that you couldn't get to any other way other than very slowly with a four-wheel drive vehicle.
Nice. So you're like the Indiana Jones before you did cigars.
Basically. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, we did that and spent some time in Nicaragua and, you know, started playing around with making cigars. And I started, actually most of the Black Label lines started as blends that I did for our travel company. And we would do cigars for the trips. And at the end of the trips, everybody was, you know, raving about the cigars and wanted to know where they could buy them. And that's kind of what spurred us into doing it full time.
Awesome.
That's great.
Will, any closing questions for James?
I think I covered everything.
Okay.
I know James has another appointment after this too. So.
Okay. Yeah, James. Before you go, I know the first time you were on the show, we likely asked you the 5 questions with the Stogie Geeks.
Yes.
Okay. So now we have a follow-up 5 questions for those that answered the original 5 questions that are heavily derived from the original 5 questions. So are you ready?
Gotcha.
All right. What is one thing about you that most people do not know?
I'm not named after the singer James Brown.
Good to know. Good to know.
I would never know that.
That's right. That's right.
It's the
beard, right?
I heard the interview that you did with Kiss My Ass. They were all over poor James.
I think we went through that the first time James was on the show, so we've been there.
Yeah.
James, choose a song that, in your opinion, best represents one of the following: either A, your life, or B, one you would get played to get pumped up, or C, the best breakup song.
It's tough. I'm trying to remember the actual titles of songs.
It's hard. I know.
Let's go Back in Black.
Nice.
Nice.
As most people know, the popular game of Ask Grabby Grabby is played with teams of 3. Choose 2 people other than yourself to represent your team in the popular game of Ask Grabby Grabby.
Oh, that's easy. Skip Martin and Fred Rue.
Oh, wow.
That's like the ultimate Ask Grabby Grabby team.
And that ass is getting back to normal for Skip.
When we do the rankings, I'm telling you, that team is going to rank pretty high.
That's got to make the montage. Yeah.
If you could have dinner with one person other than those you chose to be your parents, who would it be and why? Alive or dead, fiction or nonfiction?
I'm going to go with Stephen Hawking.
Wow.
Nice choice. Good choice.
Yeah.
Outside of the career you chose or the career that chose you, if you could choose anything, what would be your fantasy career or job?
Race car driver.
Yeah, that's a good choice too.
Love that.
Awesome. James, thank you very much for coming back on to the Stogie Geek Show.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
We appreciate it.
Nice
Excellent.
meeting you, James. Take care.
Take care.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You as well.
And with that, we're going to take a short break, come back with our Debonair Ideal segment for this evening. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
Oh. The drink.